A reminder, the news doesn't end here. Here's what's coming up on WCNC Plus at 7.
It was supposed to be a meeting to talk about proposed toll lanes from I-77 southbound in Charlotte. That meeting turned heated and tense and had to be ended early. We'll explain coming up.
Charlotte City leaders are deciding how to spend millions in affordable housing dollars as transit expansion moves closer to reality. Coming up, why leaders worry growth could push people out.
And big weekend ahead. This morning we hear from the former coaches of Charlotte native Drake May ahead of his first Super Bowl.
And we'll take you live to Milan with just hours before the opening ceremony for the Winter Games. Those stories and much more live, local, and breaking news coming up on WCNC Plus.
All right, let's head into our Friday morning. One thing to know is that we have really dense fog in Lancaster County, but the problem is we're also waking up to below freezing temperatures. So roads are really slick this morning because of that freezing fog. So kind of a double whammy, low visibility plus slick and icy spots there. And then one last thing to know before you go, traffic wise will be Windover Road and Sharon Road. A new accident just happened. Chris.
All right, so our 7-day forecast, well, that's not very good looking for 7-day forecast. Hold on one second. Temperatures are going to be down at their bottom in the 40s before we have a nice little comeback to the 50s and the 60s. Of course, we have a boatload of problems I'm going to be mentioning a lot more on WCNC Plus. But then after that little spike to 67, we'll be back to the 40s and 50s, but still not too bad. Nothing major on the extended forecast as well. Maybe something could pop next Saturday, but all in all, just a colder weekend.
67.
67
Focus
on
in.
Wednesday.
Say
That's what
less.
we see.
There you go.
Thanks, Chris. Join us on WCNC Plus.
streaming live at 7 a.m. here on a Friday morning on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. Let's get right to your forecast on this Friday. Meteorologist Chris Mulcahy standing by.
Gorgeous from up above, but a lot of us have this little blanket of cloud cover. So that is some very low clouds, aka some fog that is reducing visibility from place to place. It's also a little freezing fog, but then before this even happened, there was already frost in the windshield. So yeah, I think you're needing at least 4 to 8 minutes to get some defrosting on, because fog is still minuscule, the tiniest little water droplets you can imagine. That's still freezing onto things. So that's why I've been calling for about 4 to 8 minutes for your defrost time. And visibility is down to 3, but it's only right down here that we're really seeing that little pop, that little surge in Lancaster County. Other than that, it's a little bit better the further northwest you go, a little additional cloud cover there. Temperatures at 21 for you in Boone. We hit a low of 24. We're starting to ascend back towards that way. About 25 degrees in Charlotte and then 23 over in Concord. High temperatures today for you in the mountains, only the upper 30s. Then the snow rolls in, the winds pick up, and it's not a pretty 24 to 36 hours. That's why there's multiple advisories I'm about to go through. Either side of 50 degrees right here in the foothills. You're going to be tier 2 as far as our weather alert system goes, just because of how gusty it's going to be for you. And you're also feeling a little bit colder here than, say, the Charlotte area. Either side 50 degrees, mainly down into the lower 50s, and then up and around 55 for Chesterfield and Lancaster County, picking up more clouds by the end of the day. So advisory number 1, we have a winter weather advisory for you in the mountains. Watauga, Avery, Ash, that starts this afternoon, goes through tomorrow morning. You literally could see, I think, a range of 1 to 4 inches from this mark. But really from Boone, I think it's close to about the 2-inch mark. Banner Elk up to 2 to 3. And the higher you go up to above 4,000 feet, close to 4 inches. And then 4 to 8, that's right, 4 to 8 a mile up from Sugar Mountain, Beach Mountain, Grandfather, and then Mount Mitchell. So great for snowboarders, but we got to simmer these winds down first, because you're not going to be able to see in front of you. Already gusted around 32 miles per hour by later on this morning, and that's going to be blowing the snow all over the place. So you almost have blizzard conditions that are coming along with that. Another reason for the winter weather advisory. So travel's not advised. And then temperatures are still going to be above that freezing point initially. So I think it's a wet snow, and then it changes over to more of a drier snow as those temperatures really start to tank behind this. Staying breezy on and off throughout today. You're going to feel that cold wind shift later on in the afternoon. Boy, you're going to feel that. And that's going to create some rough wind chills to begin the day. Meanwhile, you have a high wind warning along with a wind advisory, just depending. Really, it's below, I think, 3,500 feet. Then you have a wind advisory with gusts at 55 to 45 miles per hour and above 60 to 75. The higher you go up, close to about a mile in elevation. Cold weather alerts, this is just combining the winds with everything, feeling like it's well below 0. So those winds are going to be gusty on and off in the short term. Check out these wind chills. Already starting to feel like the teens to close out the afternoon, feeling like the 40s here in Charlotte. Then we're feeling like it's down below freezing by about 3 o'clock. The single digits popping up in the mountains. And then look at this, negative 13 at 8, feeling like 8 for you in Hickory. And then the teens, woof, it's going to be a rough start to your Saturday. So if you don't have to begin right away, maybe you want to try to avoid that. High temperatures today, or for tomorrow, in the 40s, and also feeling like the 30s on and off throughout the day. But then once things start to simmer down, we get that warmer blast. We have the 50s followed by the 60s, and we're focusing in on one number, 67 degrees, where we're going to have a shot that some of us in our area hit 70 degrees. It's coming Wednesday with a slight chance for rain. That's great news. We've been looking forward to that. All right, Majestic, let's see how people are looking forward to the morning commute. Mention the fog, check.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Fog is going to be an issue for some of us as we're heading out the door. You can see it in this live camera look. This is going to be I-85. This one isn't too terribly bad, but you may encounter it here and there. This is at Mallard Creek. Lots of people up and at 'em starting their day, getting excited perhaps for the weekend. And then as we switch it over to my map, across Lancaster County, that's where we have the worst fog, where it's very hard to see. But unfortunately, it's not just a fog. It's those below freezing temperatures that's making for actually something called freezing fog, where the fog actually freezes onto surfaces. So do be mindful of that. This is one of our newer crashes. It's on Nations Ford Road near I-77. I am seeing some medium impacts with that. And then just to the east, Windover Road at Sharon Road. We have some delays coming in from the east. We'll have some more details and other things that I'm watching for you coming up soon.
Need to follow breaking news this morning here on WCNC Plus out of West Charlotte. We've got a look at the scene on Mooresfield Drive, just off Wilkinson Boulevard, a few blocks away from the airport. You can see a number of police cruisers there have gathered. Right now, it's unclear what exactly police are investigating. We'll fill you in as soon as we learn more.
This morning, the fight over the highly debated I-77 toll lane project continues. There was heated discussion last night during a meeting that was designed to provide answers, but it left many neighbors with more questions.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane now live for us this morning along I-77. Richard, we told folks this morning, or yesterday rather, that the state had decided to build those elevated toll lanes. They claimed it was going to be less intrusive. The crowd at this town hall evidently not convinced of that.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Ben. Good morning to you. Good morning, Lisa. Good Friday morning, everybody. Basically, let's set the scene. Folks came. They were already upset about that plan and what it would do to their communities. As representative from NCDOT spoke, and when he mentioned that that's the plan that they're going with, so to speak, well, Malcolm Graham had to step to the podium, our council member. Take a listen to what happened next.
If you would be quiet for a second.
Yeah, heated words and raised voices forcing that town hall meeting to end early last night all over the plans to add toll lanes to South I-77. Now, the proposed expansion of Interstate 77 sparked a sharp backlash during that public meeting Thursday night held at Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. NCDOT wants to add those new express toll lanes along I-77. They say the project would ease congestion and improve traffic flow. But almost immediately, the meeting turned tense. Residents voiced anger, frustration over what they say the project would mean for nearby neighborhoods. They say that widening or elevating the highway would bring more noise, more pollution, and possible displacement impacts they say this historically black and brown communities in Charlotte have faced before. As emotions escalated, Charlotte City Council member Malcolm Graham stepped up, as you saw, and then he decided to end the meeting early. He also told us he was surprised that NC moved forward with this particular plan. Now, as we come back here live, we can tell you that for its part, NCDOT says they'll continue to seek community input before any final decisions are made. Of course, this is something we're going to keep you posted on. We're reporting off I-77 in Charlotte. This is Richard Devane. We'll send it back to you.
Yeah, because we're still years out from construction of those lanes. Richard, thank you. A Rowan County man behind bars this morning accused of killing his father. Police say 30-year-old Trace Kinzer shot his dad, Tracy, during a confrontation last July in Salisbury. Investigators say the two were arguing when Trace cut off his father's truck with his own car, causing a crash. That's when both men opened fire. Tracy Kinzer was hit and later died from his injuries. His son now charged with voluntary manslaughter and is being held without bond. This morning, 4 teenagers behind bars following a January shooting in Northwest Charlotte. Police say 19-year-old Jalen Brown, 18-year-olds Elijah Daniels and Jadon Warner and a juvenile arrested for shooting into the Econo Lodge over on Glenwood Drive. Officers were able to use a stolen vehicle to track down those teens.
7:08 now. A Union County teacher is out of jail on bond this morning after allegedly assaulting a 6-year-old student. 26-year-old Noah Bradley, a teacher at Western Union Elementary, is now on administrative leave as investigators look into claims that he aggressively grabbed that child's arm, leaving visible bruising. Child advocates say allegations like this can be especially difficult for young children to understand and report.
It just feels like a crack in a really important foundation. We have to also work a little bit to help kids understand the tone, like we would say as adults, read the room, but for a kid to understand, like, if an adult seems really angry and upset and grabs you really hard, that's not okay. And it's okay for kids to have a voice and to say, ow, I didn't like that, and to tell somebody.
This case remains under investigation. Child advocates encourage parents to take concerns seriously and seek help if a child shows signs of distress. A new push to cut prescription drug costs is taking shape, and it's already sparking political backlash. We'll tell you the latest as lawmakers are clashing over the plan.
Many folks who work in the elder care industry are bracing for potential impacts to a key pillar of their workforce, immigrants. This is due to a federal judge putting a pause on the Trump administration's termination of temporary protected status for over 350,000 Haitians. Data shows immigrants make up more than a quarter of workers who provide direct care in long-term care settings, making up nearly a third of those who work in home care.
When we make changes to our immigration policies, when we suspend the opportunity for people to come to this country or send them back to their home country, it creates enormous amount of disruption.
Those in the industry say it's more than the job themselves. The relationships between caretakers and their elderly clients aren't easily replaced.
President Trump, looking to cut healthcare costs, a central concern among voters, has now launched Trump RX. It's an effort to slash prescription drug prices.
NBC's Alice Barr reports as Democrats are saying the president's move won't be enough.
Under pressure to address soaring healthcare costs, President Trump launching a new discount drug platform, TrumpRx.gov.
People are going to save a lot of money and be healthy.
The website, announced in the fall, is now live, offering coupons for discounted prices on so far 43 brand name medications if patients pay cash instead of using insurance, though the site notes to check insurance copays first, which may be lower. The platform's price cuts come through agreements the White House struck with at least 16 drug makers to avoid tariffs. They allow for most favored nation pricing compared to other wealthy countries.
We will pay equal to whatever the lowest price anywhere in the world.
Given that more than 80% of Americans have prescription drug insurance coverage, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, critics argue a cash approach may have limited impact. Democrats still pushing for extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies that expired at the start of the year, sending premiums soaring for millions, looking to make the case they're the ones
pushing to fix our broken healthcare system.
Healthcare costs are a central issue for Americans heading into this year's midterm elections that Democrats are working to draw attention back to amid a new funding fight over the Department of Homeland Security and immigration enforcement reforms.
They're defending using tax dollars to create chaos in our cities instead of using those dollars to reduce costs of health care.
A political lightning rod as Americans look for relief. Funding for Homeland Security that covers TSA and FEMA is set to run out 1 week from today, and lawmakers are struggling to make progress in negotiations over Democrats' demands, from ending roving ICE patrols to taking masks off agents and steering clear of churches and schools. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
The FDA has approved a new natural food dye called Beetroot Red. Products using natural dyes can now be labeled no artificial colors. The agency wants synthetic dyes removed from food by next year and is working with manufacturers to make that change. Some companies have struggled with the switch, as seen when General Mills tried natural dyes in its Trix cereal and customers pushed back.
Chips Ahoy! Baked Bites Brookies are under an expanded voluntary recall just days before the Super Bowl. The cookie maker says a mixing issue caused small clumps of cornstarch to form, creating a choking risk for children or older adults. No illnesses have been reported. The FDA says the move is out of caution. The recall only affects Brookies with specific May 2026 best when used by dates. Get excited, Bad Bunny set to take the stage at the Super Bowl this weekend. We take a look back at past halftime shows. Which one do you think was the best one?
Well, welcome back, everyone. You know we like to talk all things weather. Well, actually wanted to show you some of the creations that we have seen across the United States, what people have been making, and it's actually really incredible. Now, these are some areas that are more so snow-ridden than what we have had, such as Michigan Tech, where they had a statue competition. Michigan Tech University's Winter Carnival kicked off, and its annual all-nighter snow statue competition, people literally up all night, really was a smashing success. Great job there. But then also, if we head over to Notre Dame, so going over to Indiana on campus, the cold temperatures actually brought people together where they built this igloo, a fancy igloo, and it's really more so an ice chapel, not even more of a chapel igloo going on here. The icy structure features pointed arches and a central tower that mirrors Notre Dame's iconic Ballistica. So that's pretty cool. Overall, it is going to be a snowless day here in the Charlotte area, but not snowless up in the mountains. We actually start our weather adventure right over here at Lylesville in Anson County. Gorgeous sunrise, but it really paints a tale, because this is about 1,000 feet up. You can see all of that fog that's off into the distance, and some of that fog is settling down to the surface from place to place. Things are calm, though. We have the perfect environment for both frost and fog, so likely as you're going to be heading out the door, you're going to have a decent amount of ice in your windshield. So I've been telling people, give yourself some extra time. You can see those low clouds are now touching just below some of the skyscrapers, so really at all levels. Our frost times, right now, I think anywhere from about 4 to 8 minutes. I'm going to stay there, even with some of the freezing fog that's freezing onto the surface. This is really our second big defrost that we had so far this season. Now, there's been times that we've had, of course, ice, and there's been times that we had snow, but I'm talking about just clear nights that turn into frost. This is really only number 2 that we've had so far this season. And earlier on, we had a clear sky. We had temperatures well below 39 and a light wind. So it was a perfect frost recipe. But what happened was we actually added some clouds to the mix, and those clouds are indeed some of that fog. So both of them need the same type of environment to form, but it was a little switcheroo. So that really stopped our frost making process. But boys, it's still in your windshields. And fog is made up of billions and billions of tiny water droplets, so that's why it's going to be a little bit more problematic for your morning commute. Also, any of that rain that we saw recently, melting snow, there's black ice all over the place as well. So that's the hazard for now. Current temperatures right now, 21 degrees around Lincolnton, 25 around Charlotte, and then 21 around Salisbury. So I want to talk a little bit more about ice. As the kids are heading to the bus stop, you still could have a chance for a little bit of fog. Temperatures getting back into the lower 50s, but the big story is going to be the North Carolina mountains. That's where you're going to have those high winds, the wind chills at times below 0, pretty much for the entirety of your Saturday, with a chance for power outages. At the top of the next half hour, I'm going to go full detail for the mountains again, and also more detailed look into the warm-up that we have next week. But first, as we end this half hour, the 7 o'clock hour, let's get over to Majestic for another traffic update.
All right, good Friday morning, everyone. Let's get to it. We are looking at lots of different things as we're heading out the door. It's much busier now that we're in that 7:30 time frame. Still that dense fog to the south of Charlotte. Not just fog, but remember that freezing fog. Sometimes it can catch you off guard, especially if you're rushing early in the morning. That's out there, especially in Lancaster County. Nations Ford Road, this is where we do have a current very active crash there on I-77. I am seeing some delays. It's mainly going to be those northbound lanes. So if you're coming in from York County heading into Mecklenburg County, I would allow for about 5 to 10 minutes, additional minutes, if you're heading up into the uptown area because of that crash. Windover Road and Sharon Road, we do have some delays coming in both directions. And then this right here is on East 4th Street at Queens Road and Hawthorne Lane. You see that yellow there, just indicating that it'll slow you down a couple of minutes. Those are 3 important things to know before you go. We'll have another check on traffic coming up soon.
Majestic, thanks. All right, let's talk about the Super Bowl. More specifically, let's talk about the halftime show. As you know, Bad Bunny is set to take the Super Bowl stage on Sunday, adding his name to a long line of iconic halftime show performers. The show has transformed over the decades from marching bands to some of the biggest spectacles in music. And fans always debate which performances truly stand above the rest. So this is how NBC Sports has ranked the top 5 Super Bowl halftimes of all time. We want to know if you agree. All right, let's get started. Number 5, we have Katy Perry in Super Bowl 49. Do you remember that one? The left shark, Katy caught many eyes with those vibrant colors and a creative visual. So that's number 5, according to NBC. Number 4, 2002, U2. That was Super Bowl 36 when U2 performed their hits of hope and resilience. This was following 9/11. All right, number 3, I like this one. 2022, remember that one? Super Bowl 56, it was Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, a halftime show with a record number of headliners performing their hip-hop hits. All right, number 2. Beehive, 2013, Super Bowl 47, and Beyonce performed. She hit the stage with an iconic reunion of Destiny's Child, and not long after her performance, the stadium experienced a power outage. Remember that everybody turned on the lights on their cell phones? All right, what do you guys think is number 1?
J-Lo.
Prince.
Yeah. Super Bowl 41, Prince delivered one of the most unforgettable halftime moments ever. He performed Purple Rain in a pouring South Florida downpour. That was a rare case where the moment and the music felt like they were made for each other. So you guys what, agree, disagree?
I've got a hot take here.
Okay, let's hear it.
And Majestic alluded to it. I would say the last time Bad Bunny appeared at the Super Bowl was one of the best, and that was with J-Lo.
Amazing.
And
that
Shakira.
was good. That was a very good one.
Loved it.
Like the two of them.
You think that was better than Prince?
I think it should be in the top 5.
Yeah, for sure.
I think
For sure.
because when it first came out that J-Lo was going to do it, and they're like, oh, by the way, Shakira has to do it with her, and they're like, oh, well, how are these two going to?
Yeah,
But they pulled it. It was
good.
so the two of them
I was
together
just watching the whole time. I couldn't stop watching.
It was so good.
That was better
Okay.
than Katy Perry, in my opinion.
All right, we can swap that out. I think the best musical vocals we've ever heard at any Super Bowl was Whitney Houston singing the national anthem. Doesn't get any better than that. It wasn't the halftime show.
Not the halftime show,
yeah.
but yes, still.
The first halftime show I remember as a kid was watching Michael Jackson.
Remember that?
I think it was 1993. That one like really planted in there. Of course, I went back and watched it years later. So I would put him in my top 5.
I would also say a few years after that, when Diana Ross
Oh, yes.
took off in the helicopter at the end of it.
Yes.
Classic.
Diana.
But that Dr. Dre.
That was a good one, too.
Yep.
All right. We're reminiscing here.
We are. I know. So many good ones. Live pictures right now over Uptown on your Friday morning. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus.
That's our last episode. All right, 52 degrees is going to be our high today. We have a little bit of fog out and about, but as you can see here from Charlotte Motor Speedway, no issues really over here in Concord. It's really only down in Lancaster County that we have that significant issue. Picking up more clouds by the end of the day, but at least we're getting into the lower 50s. The big story across the area, the snow, the winds, blowing snow right here along the Tennessee border. Anywhere from 1 to 4 inches of snow falling for the populated areas from Jefferson up to Banner Elk. 4 to 8, though, on the mountaintops. Here's what you can expect. Weather alert for the mountains, blowing snow, wind chills as cold as 15 below zero, and then you're going to see a little bit of cool down for back to the 60s. All right, Majestic, what do people need to know this morning?
Good morning. Well, area roadways are looking quiet, but yes, be prepared for that winter weather, especially if you have to travel today up in the mountains. The snow, the wind, never really fun to drive in. Live camera look coming in from Boone out there on King Street. Again, going to be quiet early in the morning, but much busier on I-85. That's out near Mallard Creek. No problems there as we're looking over towards York County. Conditions are just what we would expect. Watch for fog and freezing fog mainly south of Charlotte, especially across Lancaster County. And then we are following this right here. It's going to be a crash on I-77 near Nations Ford Road. We'll have much more coming up on WCNC Plus.
Good morning. Thanks for streaming live on WCNC Plus at 7:30 on this Friday morning. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. First up, Charlotte City Council deciding how to spend more than $40 million for affordable housing. It's the money left over from the bond back in 2024, but some council members worry about how future transit projects might impact those plans.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Riches joins us live this morning at the Government Center to explain. And Destiny, tell us more about their main focus with this.
Yeah, so after yesterday's Housing Committee meeting, it is clear that city leaders are now focusing on how to align affordable housing dollars with transit investments. And they're also going to be working on protecting the neighborhoods this housing is in before prices rise. Now, under the affordable housing policy that's in place right now, city leaders are deciding how to use a $100 million housing bond approved by voters 2 years ago. So far, the city has spent more than $53 million going toward rental housing, programs to encourage homeownership, and expanding shelter capacity. Well, much of that money is focused on preventing displacement, including preserving affordable rentals and buying land near future transit corridors. At the same time, voters have approved a long-term mobility plan that will pour billions into transit projects. Council members say that combination could drive up property values and push people out if affordable housing doesn't come first.
I think there is a lot of tension between some communities that might see a saturation of affordable housing and are fearful that amenities won't come to their community because of low AMI. But I think we can be bold. And I think low income, affordable housing, medium AMI individuals and families should have access to amenities just like any other part of Charlotte.
In March, the Housing Committee will start discussing new bond allocation categories and location priorities specifically tied to transit and anti-displacement goals. In April, city staff will bring back draft recommendations based on that feedback, and by late spring, those recommendations could head to the full council for a vote. So still lots of discussion going forward, a while before any official decisions are made, but that conversation is shifting from how much to when and where the the city will invest in affordable housing. Live this morning in front of the Government Center in Uptown, I'm Destiny Richards, WCNC Charlotte.
Destiny, thank you. The city also discussed plans to expand street vending rules citywide and increase the penalties for violations. This comes as the pilot program in NODA is set to expire later this month. That would effectively ban vending in the area. Council members cite concerns over congestion, police staffing, and competition with local businesses. Some shop owners say the absence of vendors is already hurting business.
That's a huge thing, especially during a slow Monday or Tuesday, having people that are coming from the outside that would never have normally been here, but are here because of what attracts them.
A public input session is scheduled for February 17th to hear from vendors and from the community. This summer, Luke Kuechly will take his rightful place in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, not far from where he grew up in Cincinnati. But it's here in the Carolinas where he became a legend. In just 8 NFL seasons, he was a 7-time All-Pro with about 1,100 tackles. A member of the 2010s All-Decade team, Defensive Player of the Year, and Rookie of the Year. Now here is more from Kuechly speaking in San Francisco last night.
I loved the game of football. I loved playing it. I loved being in the locker room. I loved traveling with the guys. I loved competing on Sundays. I loved the guys on the team. I loved the organization, the Carolina Panthers that I played for. And I wanted to do everything that I could, that I was the guy come the first game of the year to walk out and play linebacker. And that was kind of always my mission, is I loved the game and I wanted to do everything I could to ensure my spot that next year to go out there and play.
That Hall of Fame class also includes Drew Brees, Adam Vinatieri, Larry Fitzgerald, and Roger Craig. All right, let's check back in with Chris now for an update on our. Oh, what a beautiful shot there from Dallas.
See? And sometimes you just got to be above it all. Look down, because if you look up, it might look a little bit cloudy for you, because that is some of those lower clouds and some of that ground cloud, aka fog. And the sunshine is going to be with us. So once we burn that off over the next couple hours, no big deal. We've already had a frosty windshield. Now you're going to have a little bit of microscopic moisture from that fog that could be freezing on. Technically freezing fog with temperatures in the 20s. So I've been calling for a defrost time by about 4 to 8 minutes. So give yourself some extra time. The one spot that is really starting to flourish down here in South Carolina is from Lancaster, now a half-mile visibility over in Sherrod. And then visibility is as much as 5 up to Lincolnton. Temperatures 25, yeah, so that's definitely freezing fog criteria. 19 degrees around Albemarle, and then we have a mix of the 20s, low of 24 so far this morning. 38 to 39, that's where we're going to be from Blowing Rock to Boone. So I think most of the snow that falls later on this afternoon, it's going to be some wet snowflakes that start to mix in. Meanwhile, it's much warmer, as we typically see as we go lower in elevation, either side of 50 degrees, across the foothills from Hickory over to Maiden, and then close to the Charlotte area. Upper 40s in the northern part of our viewing area here in Iredell and Rowan County, lower 50s to even the mid 50s, down towards the south, picking up more clouds to close out the afternoon. So our winter weather alerts, we have a few of them actually. Number 1 is going to be a winter weather advisory just for the mountains, really above 3 to 3,500 feet. And you have 1 to 2 inches possible up to Boone. But I think Boone, you're moving close to that 2-inch mark. And then Blowing Rock to Banner Rock, we're in 2 to 4, and then seeing 4 to 8 for some of the mountaintops. That could work its way down towards the Morganton area, maybe a light dusting, but really nothing too problematic. But it's still going to be cold and blowing all over the place, because we're going to have also a high wind warning for 7 o'clock this evening till 7 o'clock tomorrow. That's where you can have wind gusts as high as 60 to 75 miles per hour north of 4,000 feet. And then meanwhile, below that, you could have gusts upwards to about 55 miles per hour. Still really windy. And blow all that snow around, blow in some colder air. We also have a cold weather advisory where it could feel as cold as 15 below zero, mainly in that 5 to 10 below zero range. But those wind gusts really start to crank up a little bit later on this afternoon, that you start to feel that chilly, cold air. And you might even hear, if you have wind chimes going pretty active throughout the overnight, and also some of those branches tapping on the side of the house if they're close enough. Wind gusts as high as, I think, 25 to 45 across our areas. So for Charlotte, it's intermittent gusts much higher the further north you go around the I-40 corridor. It's going to be breezy most of your Saturday as well. But how does that make us feel? It makes us feel like 46 around 5 this afternoon. 39 for you in Hickory, and then popping down into the teens for Boone. feeling like the single digits by the early morning hours, and then freezing temperatures around Charlotte. And check this out, feeling like the teens close to the I-85 corridor, the single digits further north you go, anywhere from 5 below to 10 below up in the North Carolina mountains. So our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast has weather alert status for today, tonight, and through much of your Saturday because of what's happening there. This cold wind doesn't really create a great environment as far as your Saturday. Yes, we have sunshine, but what's going to happen here is we're going to see constant wind chills in the 30s. For your Sunday, things start to simmer down a little bit. We'll see some clouds roll in for your Super Bowl Sunday, another freezing start, and then after that, on the way up, temperatures in the lower 60s on Tuesday, and then yes, 67 degrees on Wednesday. We're so excited. All right, Majestic. Hopefully there's something to get excited about your morning commute, but it is the 7 o'clock hour.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. We're following a new accident. It's going to be right here. This is a crash at the ramp from the inner loop of I-485 to Oakdale Road. Right now, they have it completely blocked off. You can see some emergency responders are there on scene. Again, this is going to be the ramp there near Oakdale Road on I-485. So still learning more about the specifics, but as of now, you cannot take that ramp exit. Traffic is moving slowly around it. However, the main lanes on I-485, they don't seem to be too highly impacted, maybe just a little bit congested there at times. Again, this is going to be the outer loop there at I-485 near Oakdale. We'll have more updates on that all coming up here soon. This is going to be in York County on I-77. If you're making the commute in from York County into Mecklenburg County, well, it might be a little slow moving because we are in that 7 o'clock hour now. Another thing to mention is that we have fog really developing right here in Kannapolis. It is foggy and it is below freezing. So freezing fog remains a concern now, not just in Lancaster County, but up towards Monroe, Cheraw. Be mindful that we could see those slick and icy spots, especially on off and on ramps and over bridges. Nations Ford Road at I-77, a crash there. We're going to have more on that I-485 accident all coming up soon.
Folks, Scouting for Food is underway. It's the 34th year we've been partnering with the Scouts. All week long, Scouts have been out dropping off those door tags. Perhaps you got one. If you did, they're going to be by tomorrow morning to pick up that bag on your doorstep at 9 a.m. And listen, if you didn't get a door tag, that's all right too. Perhaps it's even easier for you. You got to text Scout for Food to 50155 and you can donate money instead.
All right, 7:40 now. It is curtain up on the 2026 Winter Olympics. Even though the competition has officially started, tonight all eyes will be on the opening ceremony.
Anne-Marie Tiernan is live this morning in Milan, or Milano if you're wanting to be Italian, and she's getting ready for the big opening ceremony set to take place in just a couple of hours in, I guess officially, 2 different places, right?
That's right, officially in 4 different places, Ben. It's really interesting because there's 2 host cities, Milano and Cortina, but there's also other venues that have athlete villages and competitions, and they're going to be a part of the broadcast tonight. One is Livigno, and the other is Predazzo. And so I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but that's my best stab at it. So the biggest gathering is going to be in Milan at San Siro Stadium. That's where they have an occupancy of 80,000 people. And then also the Parade of Nations is going to be down the streets of Cortina. So you're going to have Team USA in 4 different sites wearing the Ralph Lauren gear, going down the streets. I think it'll be really cool, but I think it'll also feel different because there's 232 athletes, and if you divide them up in 4 different locations, and then some who maybe choose not to participate because of their training or practice schedules or something like that, it's just not going to be that big entourage that you expect to see. Now, in the Parade of Nations, the first nation to go and lead, do you know what it is? Do you know? Ben and Lisa, think about it. Tradition.
Greece.
Who leads the Parade of Nations
right
tonight? Yes. Bing, ding, 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 ding. All right, who's last?
The host
Italy.
Country, Italy.
Italy. Oh, you guys are 2 for 2. All right, this one might be a little bit harder. Team USA is coming in 92. You would have had to know this. You guys get an A and an A+ because you answered the questions that are the tradition. But if you're looking for Team USA tonight, they're going to be coming in the Greek alphabetical order, 90th of 92 nations. So if you missed the beginning of the parade, you're not going to miss Team USA if you want to see them today.
It's a Greek
right.
alphabet. I mean,
It
that
really
stumps
is.
me. It stumps me every time.
Exactly. All right, so Anne-Marie, what can we expect with the opening ceremony? We know that there are going to be some special performances, yes?
Yes, so Mariah Carey and Andre Bocelli are slated to perform. We don't know what they're performing. I was looking up Mariah Carey's song list and I was trying to figure out what's an anthem, what would be something, would be a medley, is she going to do a mashup or mix up or whatever? And I did come across her song Hero, and I was looking at the lyrics and I thought I could see how some of the lyrics in this would really resonate with the athletes, and it was this part of it. It says, then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. And I thought, oh, you know, the athletes, that might really resonate. So I don't know if she's going to sing that or not. She's got another song, We Belong Together. Anytime You Need a Friend, I could see where that would hit, you know, because the theme tonight for the opening ceremony is harmony. I could see where that would fit. And then another one, Make It Happen, where it's like, you believe in you. You know, you got to this point, you're representing your nation, now get out there and give it your all. So I could see where the messages of those songs from Mariah Carey would really resonate tonight, but we don't know till she does it. So,
I guess Always
I
Be
don't know.
My Baby doesn't
that's
really
something
have
to look forward to.
Olympic theme.
No, not Always Be My Baby. No.
Or Honey. I like Honey
Okay.
too. Honey,
We do
again,
like
not,
Honey, but,
not an Olympic theme
probably
either.
not tonight.
Okay. Fair.
All right, Anne-Marie, thanks so much. Always great to talk to you.
Yeah. You too. We'll check back later.
Sounds good. Thank you. We're back after this right here on WCNC Plus.
.45 now, getting a live look at Levi Stadium. This is in Santa Clara, California, just south of San Francisco and home of Super Bowl 60. That big game between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots kicks off 6:30 Sunday evening, and you can watch it right on WCNC Charlotte.
Patriots quarterback Drake May just 2 days away from that, which will be the biggest game of his life. But before he made it to there, he was just a kid playing high school football here in Charlotte and college ball up at North Carolina.
WCNC Charlotte Sports Director Nick Carbone caught up with his high school and college coaches who say they always knew he was a star.
Patriots coaches Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels deservedly get a lot of credit for getting the best out of 23-year-old Drake May this year. But the coaches who mentored May in college and in high school do too, and they say it'll be surreal to watch their star pupil suit up in the Super Bowl on Sunday.
I'm seeing him make the same plays now that he did at Carolina.
It's very surreal. The guy that literally just, as a kid, sat on the couch in my office at Myers Park.
Scott Chadwick had him first at Myers Park High School here in Charlotte.
There were many times where you were just kind of like, did you see that throw? Like, did you see that? That's been the one thing that has translated from high school to college and now to the NFL has been just his amazing accuracy.
It wasn't long into his Mustangs career, May attracted the attention of big-time colleges, ultimately committing to Alabama, not North Carolina, where his father and brother were star athletes. That news did not sit well with then Tar Heels coach Mack Brown.
That's a crusher, man. We can't do that. We can't lose Drake May.
But May's commitment to Alabama didn't last long. Nick Saban recruiting over him to bring in a new quarterback in the same class, some guy named Bryce Young. That led to a much happier conversation with Carolina's coach as Drake May stayed home. May was an immediate star in Chapel Hill, a freshman All-American and All-ACC quarterback who broke the school's single-season passing yards and touchdowns records. Off the field, Brown saw a fierce competitor and a leader, even as a freshman.
A guy like Drake has the it factor. Everybody wants to meet him. Everybody wants to talk to him. People ask me, is he real? Is this who he is? And it is.
And it always will be. May is about to suit up in front of untold millions of people in the world's biggest sporting event. But he's still the same kid who sat on that couch at Myers Park.
The one thing that I've been most proud of is how he has not changed one bit. Just great human being. This has not changed him one bit.
For WCNC Charlotte, I'm Nick Carboni.
A Seattle woman is about to make Super Bowl history. Brenna Rogers, a broadcast engineer for Seattle Sports, will become the first woman to ever engineer a Super Bowl radio play-by-play. She's been preparing all week on Radio Row as she gets ready for her biggest assignment yet.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So I have to stop every once in a while and kind of look around and take it in and remind myself that this is really cool and that not many people get to do this.
Brenna hopes her milestone inspires more women to enter engineering and sports broadcasting as she steps into the booth on Sunday.
Well, these two major sporting events set to kick off, and you might be wondering what the weather's going to look like. Next, Chris is standing by with a look at your forecast in both Milan and Santa Clara.
Well, welcome back, everyone. So as we just teased, what's the weather going to be like over in Italy? Well, this one's focused in on Milan. Now, as we just learned, it's not just two, but actually up to 4 different locations. But let's just do Milan. Well, the 3-day forecast does not scream Winter Olympics. 53 degrees for a high-low starting tomorrow for the first full day of activities. For your Sunday, lower 50s, and then right around 50 degrees with rain showers. That's right, rain showers on Monday. Now, the thing with Milan It doesn't have a lot of the big mountain events like the downhill skiing, but still, it doesn't feel like it. Where we were just doing some live shots talking about wearing sweaters and knitted hats, this is not the environment. This is actually a little bit closer to where we are today, just minus the rain that they're going to have a little bit later on. Meanwhile, if you swing the opposite direction, still looking at increasing clouds for your Sunday, right around 3:30. Once we get this big game on the way, another rematch between the Seahawks and the New England Patriots, temperatures to be around 66 degrees, turning mostly cloudy. I think there's a chance for rain after the Super Bowl, but it looks like it is going to hold off. Meanwhile, it's a difference of 25 degrees for the starting time over here in Charlotte. Now, you're talking about 3 hours difference because 3:30, it's the middle of the afternoon over there. Meanwhile, for us, the sun's already set, so that's why it's much cooler at that point. But it should be an interesting matchup. The weather is not going to be a factor whatsoever for any tailgates or people that are going to be out there. They have some increasing clouds on and off throughout your Saturday, and then here it is, seeing some rain mainly north of Santa Clara and San Francisco. That's around 2 p.m., so an hour and a half out from Super Bowl time, and then the rain chance I think are early after midnight, so we'll see who's going to be celebrating by the back end of that. Let's go over to Dallas. I love this shot. This really shows great detail. 1,450 feet up with some of that patchy fog that's out and about from place to place. That will be an issue. Also, there's going to be some added defrost time as you have some of that frost on the windshield. Still rocking it to be around that 4 to 8 mark, but now that the sun is officially up, probably the last time I'm going to be showing you this here on WCNC+. Let's go back to the Charlotte area, and that's what this 7-day forecast is primarily for. And then at the top of the next hour, I'll be primarily just talking about you in the mountains, and then I'll kind of have to split up the forecast because it's literally 2 different weather stories. Much cooler behind these winds, so you're going to notice the winds change, really breezy. Highs only in the 40s for your Saturday and Sunday, but Saturday feels colder because the winds are stronger. Then we're back to where we are pretty much today in the lower 50s on Monday, and then there it is. We have all eyes on that 67-degree point. There's a slight chance for rain, but we won't ruin it with that. 67 is great. We haven't been in the 60s for about a month last time, January 11th. All right, Majestic, what's the big problem of the morning so far?
Good morning. We're following an accident right here. We have an estimated time that this ramp will be reopened, and it's not until just after noon. You can see a pretty big accident right there. It's on the ramp, though, so exiting I-485. This is out by mile marker 17 near Oakdale. We're still learning more information from medics as to what exactly is going on there, but as you can see, we have multiple emergency responders there on scene. I'm noticing a little bit of frost out there out on those roads and those grassy surfaces, so I'm curious if maybe the on-ramp was also a little bit slick this morning, something to keep in mind. Once we switch it over to my map, I'm going to show you exactly where it is. Again, it's going to be north of Uptown, I-485. This is the inner loop at Oakdale Road, really between exit 17 and 18. That's where you will see a little bit of an impact. Noticing all the other lanes look just fine, though. And then once we head out to the west, this is in Gaston County, the center lane is closed because of a disabled tractor trailer. This is I-85 northbound at McAdenville. All of that red means stop and go traffic. It's about a 3-mile backup. So if you take I-85 northbound, make sure you have plenty of drive time to get to where you need to be.
Looking live right now over Uptown, courtesy of our view cam. Keep it right here on WCNC+.
right, everybody, 27 degrees right now, and as you notice, we have our head in the clouds, and clouds are made up of a little bit of moisture, so we still have some of that freezing fog risk and also black ice from anything that was trying to melt refroze after we went 60 hours above freezing for at least the Charlotte area. So just letting you know, it is going to be a cool start, a cold start. Big difference from yesterday. High temperatures getting in the lower 50s, though, for the mountains, the upper 30s for the foothills, but beautiful sunshine rise as far as that sunrise goes, but more sunshine coming later on this morning. Now, our wind chills are all over the place. You're going to see them pop up actually down into the teens starting off your Saturday. So realistically, 44 feeling like the 30s. Meanwhile, it's below 0 wind chills for you in the mountains heading into your Saturday. After that big warm up, the 60s Tuesday, Wednesday. Majestic, take it away.
Good Friday morning, everyone. Unfortunately, I have some hard news to let you know about. This is going to be I-485 now, finding out that this is a fatal crash this morning. I-485, it's the ramp to get off of I-485 at Oakdale Road. You can see the ramp completely blocked off. Emergency responders saying that may be blocked off up until around noon. Not seeing any other big impacts there on the other major roadways. But again, this is going to be what we're following on WCNC Plus.
Streaming live right now at 8 a.m. on a Friday morning here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. This morning, the fight over the highly debated I-77 toll lane project continues. There was heated discussion last night during a meeting that was designed to provide answers, but left many neighbors with more questions.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane joins us now live this morning. He's along I-77. And Richard, as we reported yesterday, the state has said that it plans to build elevated toll lanes. They claim these would be less intrusive to some of these historically black neighborhoods around Uptown. Neighbors at the meeting did not seem convinced of that at all.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Ben. In a nutshell, they were not convinced, and that led to what was a tense meeting. Now, this is all over this project that is going to cost billions of dollars, more than $3 billion to get toll lanes constructed. But it's how it'll affect a certain segment of our community that has folks up in arms. I want to tell you, last night at the meeting was very contentious. We actually want to show you some video that Malcolm Graham, when he stepped to the podium after the announcement that the NCDOT was going along with this plan. Take a listen.
If you would be quiet for a second.
Yeah, folks were not quiet at all. Basically, heated words, raised voices actually forced that town hall meeting to end early last night all over these plans for the toll lanes of I-77. Now, the proposed expansion of Interstate 77 sparked that backlash during that meeting held at Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. It's all because the NCDOT wants to add new express toll lanes along I-77, saying the project would ease congestion and improve traffic flow. But almost immediately, the meeting turned tense after that announcement was made. Residents voiced anger as well as frustration over what they say the project would mean for their neighborhoods, arguing that widening or elevating the highway would just bring more noise, more pollution, and possible displacement of homes. Impacts they say historically black and brown communities have faced all too often before. As emotions escalated, Charlotte City Council member Malcolm Graham decided that it was time to end the meeting early. He then told us he was surprised that NCOD had moved forward with this particular plan. Now, this is, as I said, a multi-billion-dollar plan for NCDOT's part. They say they're going to continue to seek public input before making a final decision, but much like this plan that they're talking about, folks are not happy. We'll keep you posted on what happens. And of course, as you know, this plan is still years in the making. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Richard, thank you. A Rowan County man behind bars accused of killing his own father. Police say 30-year-old Trace Kinzer shot his dad, Tracy, during a confrontation last July in Salisbury. Investigators say the two were arguing when Trace cut off his father's truck with his own car, causing a crash. That's when both men opened fire. Tracy Kinzer was hit and later died from his injuries. His son, now charged with voluntary manslaughter, is being held without bond. This morning, 4 teenagers behind bars following a January shooting in Northwest Charlotte. Police say 19-year-old Jalen Brown, 18-year-old Elijah Daniels, and 18-year-old Jadon Warner, and a juvenile arrested for shooting into the Econo Lodge over on Glenwood Drive. Officers able to use a stolen vehicle to track down those teens.
Approaching 8:04 now, a Union County teacher is out of jail on bond this morning after allegedly assaulting a 6-year-old student. 26-year-old Noah Bradley, a teacher at Western Union Elementary, is now on administrative leave as investigators look into claims he aggressively grabbed that child's arm, leaving visible bruising. Child advocates say allegations like this can be especially difficult for young children to understand and report.
It just feels like a crack in a really important foundation. We have to also work a little bit to help kids understand the tone, like we would say as adults, read the room. But for a kid to understand, like, if an adult seems really angry and upset and grabs you really hard, that's not okay. And it's okay for kids to have a voice and to say, ow, I didn't like that, and to tell somebody.
All right, well, more funding is headed to Western North Carolina to support Hurricane Helene recovery, specifically in the national forest like Pisgah. That storm blew down thousands of acres of trees, damaged roads and wildlife habitats, and now $290 million will help fund cleanup efforts over the next 10 years. That includes creating jobs and cutting costs.
All right, 8:05 now. Turning back to your weather impact forecast, and it's going to be a far different forecast for us here around Charlotte versus those folks up in the mountains.
Yeah, now check this out. So I'm going to go through the mountains first, and then I'm going to kind of couple us all together, and then I'll show you a little bit more detail. But number one, the main focus is going to be the snow that's going to be blowing, and then you're also going to have a chance for power outages and then some dangerous wind chills. So a big difference. If you plan a mountain trip, it is not a good weekend in the mountains, at least for the first half of it. And then this is this afternoon through Saturday. That's where we're anticipating that snow. Right now we're calling it up to around 2 inches. I think it's a little closer to that 1-2 inch mark around Boone. Blowing around, I think you have like 2 to 3 closer to Banner Elk, and then we're starting to increase the amount of snow that we see the higher you go up to 4 to 8 inches on top of the mountains. Sometimes this happens is also the colder you get, it's a higher snow ratio, so it means it adds up much faster. So you have a lot more blowing powdery snow around Sugar Mountain and over to Beach Mountain as well. So our wind alerts, we have a high wind warning that is around Avery, Watauga, Ashe, and the mountainous parts of Burke and Caldwell County. Surrounding areas also have a wind advisory, and that does include Alexander County, where you could have some gusts up to 45 to 55 miles per hour. Oh yeah, blowing winds in the cold isn't fun. That's why we also have cold weather advisories up the mountains with a chance for wind chills of feeling like 10 below zero or colder. Yikes. Okay, so this is where we're all together on it. I want to go through the wind chills about how exactly we're going to feel over the next few days. What's going to happen is by about midnight tonight, you're going to notice that there is a change in the winds today, by the way. It does start to feel wind chillier by the end. It's feeling like 10 degrees around Boone and around freezing for Charlotte. Now let's move it to about 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Let's actually go a little bit in between. Here around 8 a.m., 18 degrees close to Charlotte, 9 degrees close to Lincoln. Really, as you head up the 321 corridor, it's going to be a difference of 20 degrees as far as our wind chills are concerned from Hickory over to Boone, feeling like minus 10. On and off negative values throughout the day. Still feeling like the 20s, though, on and off for your Saturday afternoon here even in Charlotte. So it's pretty much a freezing wind chill all day long, even though it is definitely going to be on the warmer side in the 40s. So let's talk about the 5-day here in Charlotte. Today you have 52, sunshine more for your Saturday, but still a cold wind kind of bringing that 44 down. More clouds for your Super Bowl Sunday, but then after that, we have a nice little warm up. As far as the mountains are concerned, we are weather alert just for the mountains and the foothills. That starts officially this afternoon throughout tonight, through all day Saturday, as you can have those on and off wind gusts up to about 45 to 60 miles per hour, depending where you are. And look at that temperature, only 24 degrees. So really a hard freeze with that as well. Then there's a little bit of thawing going on, and pretty much each day you gain 10 degrees. So a nice little warm up. Now back to the Charlotte area. That's where our 7-day is usually based on. I actually want to bring up our 10-day. So over the next 7, you're seeing that nice little surge. We're still focused in on the warmer hopes. 62 on Tuesday and then 67. And then after that, we're going to have a cold front that moves through. That's why we have a brief chance for rain on Wednesday. That's the only thing that could put a damper on that 67. But watch, we see temperatures down through the 50s and then even down to the 40s and the 30s where we could have a wintry mix in some parts of the area, but that's still way too far out to discuss it. Again, just focus in on the good cold weekend, but a nice little surge heading in the middle of next week. And I'll head over to Majestic with not some great news about this morning commute.
Good morning, everyone. We are following a fatal crash. This is going to be on I-485. It's the ramp to get off of I-485 at Oakdale Road. You can see several emergency responders there on scene. Medics have confirmed at least one person has died this morning because of this crash. This ramp is going to be closed up until at least noon. We don't know exactly what caused this, why this car accident happened, but this is the biggest thing that you need to know for your morning commute. So you cannot take that ramp to get off the Oakdale Road exit. Because of that, all other lanes are not being impacted. Once we switch it over, let me show you what I'm talking about as we're looking at my map. It's going to be right here, I-485. This is the inner loop at Oakdale Road, where again we're following a fatal crash. We have a photographer who is heading that way this morning. In addition to this, we are following a stalled vehicle, a stalled tractor trailer on I-85. This is northbound lanes in McAdenville. So out in Gaston County, there's a big tractor trailer in the middle of the interstate that's not moving, so that is slowing folks down. Right now we have about a 3-mile backup. Again, that's going to be northbound lanes if you're in Gaston County heading towards Mecklenburg County. We'll have another check on traffic coming up soon.
And as we go to break, here's an exclusive shopping deal for our viewers.
Hey everybody, here at ShopTVDeals.com, we love to bring you products that we've tested and we know for a fact are really the best out there. Now you see these things in my ears right now. These are everywhere now these days, earbuds. But the static earbuds, they give you something a little bit different that really could make a big difference in your life. What's so great about these, 2 things. It's an open ear concept. Take a close look there. You can see it's not all the way inside the ear canal. And there's 2 reasons why that's important. Number 1, after long-term use, something being that far in your ear actually can do some damage. And number 2, most importantly, because it's open ear, it allows you to hear the outside world better, which is really, really important as you're working out to keep you safe as you're kind of jamming along to your favorite music. What I also love about this product too is check out the case. It charges really, really fast. At a full charge, these earbuds will last you for days at a time. And let me let you in on a little secret. The whole time that I've been talking to you, I've actually had these earbuds going in my ear with real music from my phone. So don't tell anybody, but that's how good these things are. And we have a really great deal for you on these earbuds. You're gonna get 33% off and get these for $39.99. That is a really nice deal for a pair of not only effective and sleek looking, but safety-minded earbuds. Can't beat that. So scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen or check us out at ShopTVDeals.com.
8:13 right now on WCNC Plus. Going on to the 6th day of the search for Nancy Guthrie. Investigators don't appear to have any suspects in her apparent abduction.
Now, as of Thursday, investigators said they believed she was still alive. Reed Binion reports as they have also detailed a new timeline in her late night disappearance.
A $50,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie.
The FBI on Thursday announcing a reward in the case of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mother, missing since Sunday. Investigators also revealing blood found on Nancy Guthrie's porch was hers.
The blood on the porch, that was one we did. It came back to Nancy.
Authorities also said a front door camera that is missing from the scene detected motion at around 2 a.m. Sunday. That detail part of the timeline of Guthrie's disappearance authorities presented. It showed, among other details, that hours after her family dropped her off at her home Saturday evening, her doorbell camera disconnected at 1:47 a.m. Sunday. There is no doorbell camera video available, but the system's software detected a, quote, person on camera at 2:12 a.m.
Could it have been those other cameras that said person detected?
Sometimes those cameras pick up something and identify it as a person. We don't know how that physically works. What if you get a critter up, walk up to your door?
The timeline shows just minutes later, Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker app lost connection with her phone. Also Thursday, Guthrie's family released another video pleading for her safe return.
This is Cameron Guthrie. I'm speaking for the Guthrie family. Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We need a way to communicate with you.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
The chair of one of the most prominent corporate law firms in the U.S. is stepping down over the Epstein files. Paul Weiss's firm says that Brad Karp will continue in a lower profile role. Newly released emails show that he communicated with Jeffrey Epstein until the year the convicted sex offender died. In one message, Epstein promises to invite him to, quote, nights of unique talents. 8 current and former Toronto police officers have been arrested in a major organized crime investigation. Officials say the officers illegally accessed personal information and passed it to mob figures who used it to plan violent crimes. Authorities say some officers also took bribes to protect illegal businesses and were linked to drug trafficking. Police leaders called it a deeply disappointing moment and say the accused officers have been suspended.
Plain and simple, it's much nicer in Santa Clara than what we're going to have here in Charlotte come game time. It's 6:30 here, but then 3:30 over on the Gulf Coast, going over the Pacific Coast. 66 degrees compared to 41, but I'm going to take a little deeper dive here. I want to see what the animal kingdom is saying. I looked at all the predictions that have happened up through this morning. How many say the Seahawks? How many say the Patriots? And one is a landslide victory.
Hi, this is Larry Sprinkle. The weekend is upon us, so what to do? There's a big event going on at the U.S. National Whitewater Center, the Dog Days of Winter. It's happening this Saturday. So bring your dog, come on out and enjoy the fun times, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., free admission. There's a parking fee, a lot happening. There's a 5K trail race, 1 mile pet walk, a Patriot Pet workshop, special adoption event, canine agility demonstrations, a vendor village, and bark buffet, and a whole lot more. So a fun time for the whole family, especially those dogs, at the U.S. National Whitewater Center, the Dog Days of Winter this Saturday. That's what's happening this weekend. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
All right, well, some things I do don't really go my way, and this clearly that the animal kingdom prefers to stick with their own kind. They're going to root on birds instead of whatever their vision of a patriot is. So I went through as many as I could find as far as animal predictions go, and the Gulf Coast Zoo did 9 of them, and that was a 6-3 landslide victory for the Seahawks. Texas, we had a variety of the San Antonio Zoo that had 3 mountain lions that were deciding on things. Also, there was a giraffe and multiple bobcats that was in favor of the Seahawks. Not a Pacific Coast, so that makes sense. Really, the only one that really stood out was the seal from Connecticut, but that clearly is a hometown favorite. And the one that you're seeing over there in Texas, that was an African lion at the El Paso Zoo. So yeah, the totals going through it, and one thing that's covered up, Alaska. There was one creature in Alaska that also measured something as well. So 19 animals thought that the Seahawks were going to win, 5 by the Patriots. But these are just animals. But I thought I would let you know, as of right now, the animal kingdom is favoring the Seahawks. So, all right, way to go, Seahawks. All right, you got that endorsement at least. As far as your impacts go back here at home, one other one I actually added to the list was also Tater. In our North Carolina mountains, Tater predicted the Seahawks on Groundhog Day, so that's why North Carolina was shaded. All right, so anyways, our impacts are really snow in the mountains, but then high winds and dangerous wind chills, either the single-digit value with a dash in front of it or not. So you have the negative value wind chills mainly up in these 3 counties, Ashwaubenon and Avery County, and then even down here in the red, so that's going to be Caldwell, Burke, and Alexander County. You could still have some dangerously high winds and some wind chills in the single digits and on and off power outages, especially the further west that you go. Because in the North Carolina mountains, you could have realistic wind gusts as high as 60 to 75. That's what it's saying. 75 more likely is on top of the mountains, but still. Here's the timing of everything. I didn't show you this initially. Just in general, it's going to start this afternoon and it continues pretty much the duration of the day. But outside of the mountains, we are dealing with a little bit of rain that's starting to blast through. I think we stay dry here in Charlotte, but we do see more clouds to close out the day. Lingering snow showers heading into the morning, and then eventually we are all dry and clear come sunrise on Saturday, but the winds are still ripping and roaring at that point. On and off gusts from 20 to 30 around Charlotte, on and off gusts at 30 to 50 miles per hour into the mountains. That's why you have a high wind warning and wind advisories until 7 o'clock. A few clouds start to move back in on Sunday, but other than that, nothing too major. Back here in the Charlotte area, Super Bowl Sunday is still going to be a chilly one, starting off at 23 degrees. So you're going to be freezing as you get any last-minute nacho ingredients or whatever you're doing. But I'm really happy to say that at least temperatures are warming up nicely, even for the mountains, calling for temperatures to be near 60 degrees in Boone on Wednesday. Meanwhile, we're going to be at 67 to near 70 on Wednesday here closer to the Charlotte area and Mecklenburg County. Okay, there it is. That wraps up our weather report. Now, Majestic has a big breaking traffic issue.
All right, let's get to it. This is going to be I-485. This is out near Oakdale Road. We now have confirmation that this is a fatal crash. It's on the ramp right there, so they have it completely blocked off. So really, you just can't take that ramp exit. All other lanes don't seem to be impacted by that. But yeah, sad information that we're learning this morning. Again, one fatality from that crash this morning. We don't know specifically why it happened. We don't know exactly why. Could it have been some slick and icy spots this morning? Maybe. We're still going to follow that for you throughout the rest of the day. This is the inner loop of I-485 where we do have that ramp that is blocked off. Another thing out there in Gaston County near McAdenville is that there's a tractor trailer in the middle of I-85. It is disabled. It has parts of the center lane absolutely blocked off, so you can't drive in that center lane. It's about a 3 to 4 mile delay, so if you're you're coming in from Gaston County heading over towards Mecklenburg. It's going to be a little slow moving at times. And then this is new here. It's on Independence. We do have slow moving traffic inbound lanes, but the actual crash here, it's actually at the outbound lanes at Eastway Drive. So allow for a few extra minutes to get to where you need to be. We were in the thick of things just before 8:30 this morning. Again, right around Uptown, not seeing anything too majorly concerning, but we do have our typical delays and then a handful of ongoing other things. We'll have more details on the other accidents coming up here soon.
Majestic, thanks. 8:24 now. We are going to take a quick break and make sure that you keep it right here, streaming live on WCNC Plus.
Black ice and freezing fog, not what you like to see. So some of this fog, especially thicker down towards the south or Union County, Lancaster County, but will warm up nicely later on. 52 to the mid 50s down from the I-85 corridor down towards the south, and right around 40 degrees up in Boone, and we'll see more clouds by the end of the day. We are weather alert for the foothills and North Carolina mountains. Chance for snow, high winds, dangerous wind chills, and power outages. Also look at some of these snow totals, anywhere from 1 to 4 inches across the most populated areas. Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. We're in the 40s close to Charlotte, at times feeling like it's freezing with those wind chills on Saturday, but hey, back to the 60s on Tuesday and Wednesday. All right, Majestic has a big traffic update for you to start off your morning commute.
Hey everyone, want to let you know about a fatal crash this morning. Unfortunately, this is going to be on I-485, the inner loop there at Oakdale Road. Medics have confirmed that at least one person did die this morning from this crash. It will be closed until just after noon today. 485 in general not being impacted. Again, this is going to be the ramp for Oakdale Road, where it is completely blocked off there. This is a big thing that we're following this morning. You can see that backup that's just south of it, but where we're actually following that fatal crash, because it's on the ramp, we don't have big problems when it comes to traffic. We'll have more on WCNC Plus.
Thank you for streaming live on WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Charlotte City Council deciding how to spend more than $40 billion left from the city's affordable housing bond. But some members say they've got to be careful because they see new transit projects that could make nearby neighborhoods a lot more expensive fast.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards joins us live this morning. She's at the Government Center. So, Destiny, break this down for us. Help us understand their main focus here.
The main focus here is to align affordable housing dollars, or better align affordable housing dollars with transit investments, and also keep neighborhoods affordable, keep those prices down and not let them rise and pricing people out. Now, we know that under an existing affordable housing funding policy, city leaders are deciding how to use a $100 million housing bond approved by voters 2 years ago. So far, the city has spent more than $53 million going toward rental housing programs to encourage home ownership and expanding shelter capacity. Much of that money is focused on preventing displacement, including preserving affordable rentals and buying land near future transit corridors. At the same time, voters have approved a long-term mobility plan that will pour billions into transit projects. Council members say that combination could drive up property values and push people out if affordable housing doesn't come first.
I think there is a lot of tension between some communities that might see a saturation of affordable housing and are fearful that amenities won't come to their community because of low AMI. But I think we can be bold. And I think low income, affordable housing, medium AMI individuals and families should have access to amenities just like any other part of Charlotte.
In March, the Housing Committee will start discussing new bond allocation categories and location priorities specifically tied to transit and anti-displacement goals. In April, city staff will bring back draft recommendations based on that feedback, and by late spring, those recommendations could head to the full council for a vote. So still a lot of time for discussion before any official decisions are made, but the conversation is switching from how much to invest to when and where the city will invest. Live this morning at the Government Center, I'm Destiny Richards, WCNC Charlotte.
Destiny, thank you for that. The city also discussed plans to expand street vending rules citywide and increase the penalties for violations. This comes as the pilot program and NODA is set to expire later this month. That would effectively ban vending in the area. Council members cite concerns over congestion, police staffing, and competition with local businesses. Some shop owners say the absence of vendors is already hurting business.
That's a huge thing, especially during a slow Monday or Tuesday, having people that are coming from the outside that would never have normally been here, but are here because of what attracts them.
A public input session is scheduled for February 17th to hear from vendors and the community.
3 women now facing first-degree murder charges after the death of a 6-year-old girl. Police say Susan Robinson, Tanya McKnight, and Taryn McKnight subjected Dominique Moody to years of abuse. In court yesterday, prosecutors laid out disturbing allegations of abuse they say led to Dominique's death. They say she was often starved, restrained, and beaten. An attorney not involved in the case says no child should ever have to go through something like this.
Children always can't protect themselves. I think we always know that. And so therefore they're relying on adults. And unfortunately, all too often adults fail. And we have these services that are in place to oversee certain situations.
All 3 women charged are being held without bond and will be back in court on February 26. They're facing life sentences if convicted.
This summer, Luke Kuechly will take his rightful place in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, not far from Cincinnati, where he grew up. But it's here in the Carolinas where Kuechly became a legend. In just 8 NFL seasons, he was a 7-time All-Pro with about 1,100 tackles, a member of the 2010s All-Decade team, Defensive Player of the Year, and Rookie of the Year. Here's more from him speaking out in San Francisco.
I loved the game of football. I loved playing it. I loved being in the locker room. I loved traveling with the guys. I loved competing on Sundays. I loved the guys on the team. I loved the organization, the Carolina Panthers that I played for. And I wanted to do everything that I could, that I was the guy come first game of the year to walk out and play linebacker. And that was kind of always my mission, is I loved the game and I wanted to do everything I could to ensure my spot that next year to go out there and play.
Well, that Hall of Fame class also includes Drew Brees, Adam Vinatieri, Larry Fitzgerald, and Roger Craig. All right, Chris, tell us about the weekend. What can we expect today and over the weekend?
Well, for the most part, it's just going to be a cooler weekend, and then all of a sudden you go and you have an Arctic tundra and a big snow event for the mountains. So it's really two different stories I'm going to go through here. Number one, let's start with the now. We are seeing some visibility issues, especially down in Monroe and Lancaster. Now, fog, literally you can fit 1 billion fog droplets into a teaspoon. That's how fine this is, but it's still moisture that can coat things. So that's why we've been talking about freezing fog on and off throughout this morning. And there's no verification here, but Majestic's dealing with a big incident and isn't on an off ramp. And a lot of times it's the off ramps and the on ramps and the overpasses, the bridges that usually get the slickest in these type of events. So just be extra careful. Keep that in mind. Downtown Monroe, you can see just fine. Just depends where you are. Also looking down through our Dallas camera, you can see that patchy, dense fog from place to place. Over here in Lylesville, same thing, a lot of valley fog, but eventually that's going to burn off, especially as those temperatures get a little bit warmer. 27 degrees is what we have, and it feels like 27 because we are calm. And you usually only have frost and fog whenever you have a calm wind and a clear sky. So looking at our high temperatures today, showing you Dallas again just because I love it so much. 24 degrees was our morning low, so we are on the up and up. And 26 degrees right around Hickory and 24 still around Boone, so still very much freezing. And then once we get that sunshine, we're going to melt a lot of things away. But you still have all that rain, all the melting snow that didn't yet evaporate that's causing some of those icy spots from place to place, so be careful. So bus stop goers definitely were out and about in some of that fog. Most are at school now. When they get home, we're talking about temperatures in the lower 50s, mixing in with that cloud and sunshine. So wrapping up the Charlotte forecast, our weather story going forward in the near term is we're cooling down with a cold blast of winds where we're talking about black ice. The sun's going to melt it again, and then we could have some more ice on and off throughout the weekend. But all in all, you have sunshine, the 40s. Now 44 realistically feeling like 32 and colder with those wind chills. And then you have the 50s and the 60s to look forward to after that. Now the mountains have a completely different story where we have a multitude of advisories, where we have actually a wind advisory and a high wind warning. Areas in the high wind warning, by the way, mountaintops could have wind gusts over 60 miles per hour, so we're almost nearing hurricane strength, I think, the further you go up. Meanwhile, factoring in the wind chills, you could have wind chills that are well below zero that we have advisory, and then also a winter weather advisory. So you have 3 going on for the mountains that start this afternoon and could stretch as far as 7 o'clock, like that high wind warning until 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. Now, how much snow could you see? It really just depends. It's all by elevation. Since it's actually driven by a fancy term called orographic lifting, that's literally where you have moisture and a colder wind that rides up the mountains and it creates snow. And the higher you go up, actually the higher the snow ratio, so it adds up a lot faster. So you have 4 to 8 inches on the mountaintops. That's really about a mile up, but anywhere from 1 to 4 inches across the populated areas, say from Valley Cruces to up to around Banner Elk and Ginger Cake Mountain. All right, so wrap it up here. Our 7-day forecast turned 10-day forecast. You'll see the bottom is this weekend. After that, the 50s and the 60s. We are finally back above the normal, which is 55 going on 56 heading into next week. 67, rejoice. There's a slight chance a front brings us a little bit of rain. And then after that, we'll have another careful watch for another system that approaches around Valentine's Day with highs only in the 40s and lows just above that freezing point. Okay, that concludes our weather report. Now Majestic has the big incident of the morning.
Good morning, everyone. I want to get straight to the most important thing. Unfortunately, we are reporting on a fatal crash this morning. This is I-485 right around Oakdale Road exit, the exit ramp right there where we have had an accident and it's now completely blocked off. They're saying that this could be blocked off for the next several hours. All right, so we do have confirmation that there has been 1 fatality with this accident. Once we switch it over to my map, there's a lot of things that are ongoing. We've been talking about those slick and icy spots on and off ramps, especially over bridges. We've actually even had fog and freezing fog. So the weather component is really intertwined with what we're seeing out on those roads today as well. I-485, it's the inner loop at Oakdale Road, but the new information is that traffic is actually being diverted off of I-485 at Brookshire Boulevard because of that deadly crash at Oakdale Road. We're going to have another check on traffic coming up here soon, but again, this is the latest and the most important thing that you need to know before you head out.
A new South Carolina license plate making a bold claim, and it's got a lot of folks talking. Find out why. Many are wondering whether the claim is true. And Scouting for Food still underway, folks. This is your chance to step up. It's our 34th year doing this with the Scouts. They've been out all week long dropping off those door tags. Perhaps you got one. If you did, put out that bag full of food by tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. If you didn't, that's okay too. Perhaps it's easier. All you got to do is take out your phone right now. Text Scout for Food to 50155.
All right, the time now 8:42. 206 years ago, today in history, the first organized group of formerly enslaved people in the United States left New York Harbor on a journey to Freetown, Sierra Leone. That effort was led by the American Colonization Society, which aimed to resettle freed African Americans in West Africa. Congress helped fund that mission as part of a program to return people who had been illegally trafficked into the U.S. after the slave trade was banned. That movement later contributed to the founding of Liberia in 1821, which became the first independent democratic republic in African history. Now, before the Civil War, more than 12,000 people made the journey from the United States to West Africa. Here's another Black History Month fact for you. Did you know that in 2002, Vanetta Flowers became the first Black athlete to win gold at the Winter Olympics? She won the medal in bobsledding.
A Catholic church in Hawaii is celebrating a century of history as parishioners gather to open a 100-year-old time capsule sealed inside Holy Rosary Church. The brass box was placed in the cornerstone back in 1926, and inside were newspapers, coins, and documents listing the families who helped build the parish. Many of the names still familiar in that community.
It's so many familiar names, even though it was 100 years ago. All of the names that were mentioned, still are recognizable today. And as I read one of the donations of yesteryear, a lady in the crowd said, "Oh, that's my uncle." And another one was their grandfather. And it's just, generations of our community has been a part of this church.
The opening marks the start of a year-long centennial celebration with parishioners reflecting on the generations who helped shape that church and the legacy they continue to carry on. 8:44 right now on WCNC Plus. One of South Carolina's new license plate options honors the 250th anniversary of the United States founding with the slogan, "Where the Revolutionary War was won."
Now that claim has folks wondering if it's true. WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies.
Our sources, Donovan Fifield, an instructor of history at the University of South Carolina, Department of History, the National Park Service, American Battlefield Trust, and the White House. Both the National Park Service and White House recognize the Yorktown Battle of 1781 in Virginia as the place where then General George Washington, with allied American and French forces, beat the British Army, ending the war and ensuring independence. However, Fifield says it's more complex than that.
Saying that South Carolina was where the war was won can be true, but counter arguments that say that the war ended in Yorktown, or the war did not end until kind of legally declared with the Treaty of Paris in 1783. These can also be viewed as true statements.
However, both the American Battlefield Trust and Fifield state South Carolina played a major role in why we gained our independence.
Many of where the last critical parts of the war, both major battles like at Kings Mountain and Cowpens, occur in South Carolina. And this Patriot victories there really kind of turn the momentum of the war in favor of the Patriot cause.
So when it comes to where the Revolutionary War was won, he says it all depends on definitions.
So I certainly would not say the statement on the new license plate is definitively wrong, but it depends very much on kind of what definition of where the war was won that you're looking for.
With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul has selected former New York City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams as her running mate in her re-election bid. Adams, considered a centrist Democrat with strong ties to the city's black voters and the labor sector. If the pair wins, it would mark the first time in U.S. history two women filled both posts in any state. Hochul herself already made history as that state's first woman to serve as governor. She's facing off against Antonio Delgado, her current lieutenant governor, in the primary.
Oh boy, what a forecast that we have for the North Carolina mountains. This is designated for the Boone area. We're above freezing with some wet snowflakes, and then the winds pick up, blowing it all around, and some sizable snow is going to come down with 3 different advisories and warnings. More on that full forecast, as well as the 5 dogs, the top 5 dogs that actually enjoy this type of weather. All right, so my producer Callie was mentioning, hey, there's a bunch of videos out there of huskies that are absolutely enjoying the weather that we've had recently, not just from here in the Carolinas. Now, of course, they live in the Carolinas, they're really enjoying it, but all over the United States, because we have a lot of snow, probably some of the biggest snow coverage maps that I've seen across the United States, spatial area-wise, in years. And number one, of course, for the snowiest dogs is the Siberian Husky. I apologize if I pronounce any of these dogs' names, because to be honest with you, I've never heard of number 3. We have the Alaskan Malamute. Now, this is essentially just a really large husky-like dog. And then the Samoyed, not sure to really say this one. It literally looks kind of more like a white husky. And then you might know these last ones, the Bernese Mountain Dog, where one of our anchors actually has a Bernedoodle. So we have part Bernese Mountain Dog and, of course, Doodle. That's Ben. And then we have the Newfoundland coming up for the last one. And the bottom two here for the Bernese Mountain Dog and the Newfoundland, giant dogs. Sometimes you've actually seen them in some of the older movies with the barrel underneath their neck, which was usually carrying whiskey. So these are the top 5 dogs that I could find across the board that love the snow the most. So if you have one of these, there's probably a good chance that they have just been an absolute mecca recently. And I did have actually one runner-up as well. St. Bernard isn't on here, but also we have the Akita and the Norwegian Elk Hound that just loves those snowy vibes. And speaking of, I was just showing you this graphic. It is really interesting how different the mountains are compared to really what we have here in the Charlotte area. Now, that's obvious. Now, you always expect that. But I'm talking about, as far as the atmosphere goes, usually you can see some snow, but you're talking about almost blizzard-like conditions with wind gusts getting up over 60 miles per hour, mainly averaging about 45 to 55. And that's going to keep wind chills pretty much in the negative values for the entirety of your Saturday. Meanwhile, over in the Charlotte area, nothing even comparable to what we have there. So I want to go through our wind chills. Wind chills are going to be pretty brutal, being honest with you. Even by later on this afternoon, you're going to notice a slight difference. So here, right around 7 o'clock, starting to feel like 41 around Charlotte, 18 in Boone. Moving forward to 11 p.m., feeling close to freezing. Now we're starting to near the pre-teens, to the single digits, and 2 single degrees right around Boone as temperatures continue to tank on and off, feeling like the 20s, even the teens for Charlotte. And then when the sun's rising up, single digit values from Morganton over to Statesville, and then -5 to -15 on and off throughout the morning into the afternoon. So yeah, it's really going to be bone chilling overall. And then after that, back to this forecast, you can see we have a nice little warm up by 57 degrees on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Charlotte's 7-day forecast extends out that we're going to see the lower 60s to even some people getting near 70 degrees on Wednesday. So something to look forward to. All right, one more look at traffic here on WCNC Plus this morning. Majestic, take it away.
All right, good morning, everyone. We're following a fatal crash for you. This is where it's going to be at I-485. This is the inner loop, and it's on the ramp that the accident happened, and that is where it will be blocked. It's a ramp to get onto Oakdale Road. That's exit 18, and traffic right now is being diverted off of the inner loop of I-485 at Brookshire Boulevard because of this accident. You can see this is going to be a problem spot. Lots of purple indicating those blocked roadways as they're continuing to work on this, and they are saying that this could be closed up until about noon or so. With that being said, this is going to be the most important thing that you need to be mindful of as you're heading out the door. One fatal crash for you this morning on I-485. Some sad news to report.
All right, well, make note of this. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, make sure you start your day with something a little sweeter than usual, because it's ice cream for breakfast day tomorrow.
You heard him correctly. The once-a-year tradition is all about shaking off the winter chill with a scoop of your favorite flavor. Now, this idea is simple. Once a year, people enjoy a scoop of their favorite flavor first thing in the morning. So whether you stick to the classics or you try something creative, the day is all about bringing a little joy to a cold February weekend. I know my kids would love this.
Are you going to tell them?
I don't know.
I'm going to do it.
You're going to tell my kids?
No, I don't know. No. I'm going to tell JT.
Oh, okay.
I'm not crossing that line.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's fun. I feel like that's one of those days that those kids will always remember. Remember that one time we got to wake up and we got, ice cream for breakfast?
Yeah. They'll love it.
I would do it.
I wish they would make it, though, like in summer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it'd be nice to wake up and it's nice and hot and you're like, let's have ice cream
Good
now.
morning. Here's this
And like surprise
Tomorrow
them.
morning you're waking up and it's going to be whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're like,
You're like,
oh, let's have ice cream.
True. It'd probably still be fun for them because I don't think kids really care that much for temperatures.
With his kids every year.
And sometimes you think it's an ice cream company that created this day when sales were down. It was like, oh, by the way, ice cream for breakfast.
In February.
You've been in news too long. You're a cynic. All right, folks, keep it right here on WCNC Plus. Up next, our Jane Monreal will take over from our live Impact studio. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus.
"52 degrees, that's right. So today's highs are going to be on the warmer side, right around 40 degrees in Boone, then 50 degrees around Hickory, and 56 for you in Lancaster. Nice little warm up, but then we have two different forecasts because we're looking at snow to roll in for the mountains. It'll be a wet snow because you're above freezing at first, and then the winds pick up, and we're driving those wind chills down below zero, and then 24 degrees for your Saturday. Meanwhile, that 7-day forecast, both are showing a nice upward trend after the weekend. Highs only in the 40s Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, by the way, on and off wind chills below that freezing point. Then we have the 50s, the 60s, near 70 degrees even on Wednesday. All right, Majestic has everything you need to know before you hit the roads.
This morning, we're unfortunately following a fatal crash. This is I-485. It's the exit ramp from I-485 right onto Oakdale Road. You can see emergency responders are out there. One person did die this morning because of an unfortunate wreck. Right there, it's going to be exit 18. Traffic right now is being diverted from the inner loop of I-485 at Brookshire Boulevard out to Oakdale Road. So this will be very important for you to know as you're heading out the door. They're saying that ramp could be closed up until afternoon today. Stay close to WCNC.